Texas, our Texas, a magical place, a place of land and legend, a place like no other. People come here to touch it, to feel the passion, to soak it in and be a part of it. Texas, our Texas.
Let's ride. Yeah! Well, howdy, neighbors. I'm Commissioner Sid Miller of the Texas Department of Agriculture. Welcome to our show, Texas, Our Texas. This week we have a great lineup of things going on around the state and with our department. You know, over the years, the look of the Texas landscape has changed. For instance, a lot of the South Texas Rio Grande Valley used to be scrub brush, and one man's organization is trying to bring at least some of that brush country back. Well, it's hard to imagine now, but there was a time in the Rio Grande Valley when much of the land didn't look like this. Once the land was covered with thorny brush that birds and mammals alike called home. But time and human hands have left scars, clearings where greens once thrived, patches of earth stripped bare in the name of progress. Enter John Dale. Now he's a man with a mission. Here, John sees clear-cut fields as the land of opportunity, lands for growth and renewal. He's a quiet sort, but what John does is more than a job. It's a calling. He hopes his work can help coax life back after generations of emptiness.
What it comes down to is that we have basically less than 10% of this natural habitat, this thorn forest, this thorn scrub habitat left in the valley. And it's so unique because it only occurs in the lower Rio Grande Valley in the United States. This habitat is not found north of Willacy County. And so in the course of the early 20th century, most of that was eliminated, was cleared, first for agriculture and now with urbanization. Our urbanization is just kind of, we're urbanizing like every other part of Texas, kind of off the chart down here.
John Dale oversees the efforts of an organization called American Forest. Here on this piece of land, he and a small team working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service are dedicated to gathering seeds, planting saplings, and growing the future, one tiny plant at a time.
Here in the nursery, this is a supply chain, whether it's the seed collection, very labor intensive. Obviously the grow out here in the nursery, for the seedlings, and then the outplanting is a whole other story once we get into the fall and start planting hundreds of acres of this out on the landscape.
In all, there are 50 species of trees, bushes, and thorny shrubs being grown here. Some people might say John specializes in growing weeds, for lack of a better word, but to John, these tender shoots hold a promise to restore balance.
This is what we restore with. We put these out there to the tune of, sometimes as much as 1,000 seedlings per acre, so it's very high density. We can't just walk into an old farm field or an abandoned landscape or degraded lands now and just expect it to kind of regenerate, maybe like it does in other parts of the state. So what's happened in the 20th century is we have all ththese invasive grasses that have been introduced, and if we're not on top of that and we don't don't come in and plan ahead to get rid of all of those different grasses, then they'll actually take over a plot. So even on the back end of the restoration, there's a lot of due diligence on our part.
There's also due diligence on the front end, which is quite tedious. Now, seeds are separated from hulls manually, one by one, and likewise, the tiny saplings are planted individually. The seeds are kept in refrigerators until it's time to plant, and the saplings, well, they wait their turn to be taken to the field. It's only then that the genuine restoration begins.
So this is a restored area. This is approximately 10 acres of restored thorn forest that we planted back in October of 2024. So it's been in the ground for less than a year. The idea here is to plant wildlife habitat. And so in the next 3 to 5 years, this property will start to, approximate a small thorn forest, a small canopy initially of the plants kind of growing together, and then over time, then you'll get the height. As early as this fall, we'll start removing these protective tubes here. These tubes we put on the seedlings at the time of planting, and basically what they do is they create a microclimate in the roots, so they help the plant get established in its first year.
This place belongs to Brad Pinnock. He likes trees and brush, and so much so, he went looking for a way to mass plant them. That's when he found John and American Forest.
Just by luck, I was just surfing on the internet one day, and I was trying to figure out how can I plant, trees, and I saw a video that they had put together, and it was a local valley person who had left the valley and came back, and he was doing everything he could to reestablish the original thorn forest that was there 100 years ago. And I go, that's exactly what I want.
This is a kind of like a promise for the future. This is like our way of saying, as an organization, as American Forest, as landowners, as partners, that this effort will long outlast us, and it's going to be here in perpetuity for the people that will enjoy it long after we're gone.
John Dale knows that he's making a difference. One day, this field and others will be teeming with plants and wildlife. And as the forest rises, branch by branch, it will carry his legacy, not in his name, but in the living, breathing pulse of a valley restored.
Yeah, I love it. I love this work. I love the people, the partnerships. Again, just everybody really coming together down here in this geography. There's no one organization that could pull any of this off. It's really the partnership that makes it so special at the end of the day. And I look at all the people that I know here, my community, and it's like we're doing this for these folks. At the end of the day, this is something that it's a legacy. We pass this on. This habitat will be there, for a long time. So we're just kind of paying it forward.
Now coming up, we're going to clean things up a little bit with some handmade soap from Llano, Texas. It's our Go Texan segment of the week. Stay tuned.
Small but mighty.
When we met Keisha Mangum, she was stirring a bubbling pot of oil and lye with the scent of lavender rising from the steam. Welcome to the Kuhdoo Soap Company.
I learned the art of soap making from a 4th generation Texas soap maker. And so I always like to say, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Our recipes are old-fashioned, cold processed soap, tried and true. We've elevated them and modernized them with luxury ingredients that we have now, but all of our soap is still handcrafted in small batches, made by people for people, and you can feel that difference in your shower. In 2013, I was laid off from corporate America very unexpectedly and 7 months pregnant. And so that year I had learned the art of small batch soap making, and I decided to make a go of it selling soap. And it was just born out of, life circumstances. In hindsight, getting laid off from corporate America is the best thing that ever happened to me.
It's more than just a craft. It's a chemical dance between science and love. Before this company came into being, Keisha really wasn't a scientist.
It's funny. I actually passed high school chemistry with a 69.5 and they rounded it up. Plot twist, I turned out to be a good chemist because soap is all science and chemistry. Melts in the coconut oil. I think one thing that sets me apart is that I have a relentless work ethic. I just never stopped working. I never gave up. We had markets that were great. We had markets that weren't great. And I joke that I have a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks.
Those hard knocks have shaped a brand offering dozens of soap fragrances, products for personal health care, all handcrafted right here in Llano.
So in addition to bar soap, we also make liquid foaming hand wash for the sink or the bathroom. You know, clean candles with natural ingredients, natural soy wax, lead-free wicks. You know, one of our hashtags is the clean life. And that carries not just into like soap cleaning your body, but clean ingredients across our entire product offering.
With a name like Kuhdoo, you have to wonder, what's the story behind that?
I had hit my knee one day and I said, oh, my knee, my knee. And that turned into this prefix for ka-this, ka-that, ka-love you, ka-damn-it. And when I decided to start the soap company, I said, let's Kuhdoo it. And so Kuhdoo was born, but Kuhdoo is really our culture of a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, make lemonade out of life's lemons, and work hard. So we still use that culture here today in the shop. We're like, okay guys, we gotta Kuhdoo it. What's next?
The gold buckle she displays says she's doing something right.
So this buckle, y'all, is the $1 million belt buckle. And it is given to Quest for Texas Best winners, which we are considered one of those. And once your company does over $1 million in revenue through the HEB cash registers, you're awarded one of these. I always joke, this does not mean that I have $1 million in the bank. This means that I've worked really, really hard and had a lot of sleepless nights.
Case has been part of our GO TEXAN family almost since she first opened the doors.
So we have been with GO TEXAN since the early days. I remember going through HEB and seeing products that were like GO TEXAN, Spot the Mark, and being like, man, they're really somebody. And that had a sense of validity to me. But our GO TEXAN partnership has brought us along in so many ways. It's given us exposure that we wouldn't have had otherwise. We are making a difference in people's lives now, and that's my why today, is that I want to make good products that are affordable for good people. I remember days where people were like, oh, it's Friday. I'm like, that means I'm up early tomorrow for the market. You know, Friday meant nothing to me for so many years. And so I just, you know, I've burned and learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of wins, I've had a lot of failures, and you just gotta keep going. Hey y'all, I'm Keisha Mangum, the founder of Kuhdoo, and I am GO TEXAN proud.
Texas, our Texas with Sid Miller.
This week, we're going to look at some of the things the agency does that you might not know about. We're going to visit our laboratory in Giddings, Texas, where some of our agency's highly trained scientists measure and inspect ping pong balls.
Our lab is located in Giddings, Texas, so it's a really small town between Austin and Houston. Previously, the lab was in Austin, but the vibration got to be a little too much. So they moved us out into a pasture where our closest neighbor are some cows, so it's a beautiful setting for the lab. My name is Lisa Korn. I'm the metrology lab manager and a legal signatory for Texas.
We measure everything from 1 milligram to 6,000-pound drivable weight carts, and even calibrate 1,000-gallon provers. And one of the interesting things we do is measure the balls used for the Texas lottery.
So when the lottery balls come in, the folks that are with the lottery balls will walk into the lab with us. They're required to stay with the balls at all times, so they're not left alone, unsealed. We will then cut the seal with them watching. We have to sign into a sign-in sheet, the date, the exact time we're opening it, who we are, and the purpose of opening the ball set. So these are our calibrated environmental equipment. So it'll tell us the temperature in the room, the humidity in the room, and the barometric pressure. We'll then take our measurements of the balls. We compare them to our standards that have a calibrated value so that we're able to give the traceable measurements. And every 10th ball or so, we'll put those standards back on to make sure we're accounting for balance drift to give more accurate measurements. We'll do the entire set and then we reverse the process. So we'll sign out that we're closing it and what time we're closing it. And then we've got a numbered seal that we write down and then we seal the box back up. I do think about how important it is that we take these measurements on these lottery balls to ensure fairness. You think about when it's going through the machine, you want them all to weigh the same to have the same probability of being selected. So it is very important, and I know a lot of people play the lottery in Texas and would like to know that the balls are accurate. So what I'd like the general public to know is that we're not just taking a quick measurement, that there's a lot of science behind each measurement. Not only do we affect every Texan who's making purchase, but we're making an effect on every consumer in Texas. So even tourists, when they come and they make purchases here, we're making sure that you get what you pay for. We're really proud of what we do, and all the elements that come together to make sure that there's equity in the marketplace is something that we're really proud of and we really enjoy. And we'll talk about it to anybody. So if anybody wants to come visit the lab, we love to talk about it. We're really proud of it.
Coming up, it's a look at the Texas wild-caught shrimp industry that kicks off with the blessing of the fleet. Stay tuned. The Blessing of the Fleet is an annual tradition that signals the beginning of the shrimping season on the Gulf Coast. And, unfortunately, the shrimping industry needs all the help it can get right now. Well, hey folks, it's July. The Texas Gulf Coast shrimping season is just days away. But before those boats throw lines, there's a time when faith and community pride come together for a gathering known as the Blessing of the Fleet.
Howdy, neighbors. It's good to be back with you. I always enjoy coming down here because I get such a warm reception, and so thank you very much for making us feel so well. So it's good to be here with you today. This Blessing of the Fleet has always been on my...
Now here in Port Isabel, where the shrimping industry brought prosperity and identity to the community, the Blessing of the Fleet quickly became an annual ritual that joined commerce with culture and belief with tradition.
I was very, very happy to come and celebrate this. You want to invite me back? I've been looking forward to this for 2 weeks. I've been thinking about this every day. All right, so I'm really, really excited to be here. I want you to know that God is with you.
Yes, sir, we appreciate you coming down.
Chris Laundrie is with the Texas Shrimp Association and has spent his entire life in the shrimp business.
Blessing of the Fleet is a long-time tradition where we just have some local folks come out and give them an update on the industry, and we also get a local father out on one of the boats, and he literally blesses the fleet, and we've been doing it for years and years.
From us all sin, remove all dangers, and give us all good things through Christ our Lord. Amen.
The blessing is a way of asking divine guidance for calm seas, bountiful harvest, and above all, the safe return of every crew member.
And there's a reason for that. This is dangerous work, isn't it? I mean, you got to be tough to be a shrimper. I'm a cowboy. We're tough, but we're not shrimper tough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous occupation in the U.S.
But the truth is, there's very little good news when it comes to catching wild shrimp in the Gulf. And to be honest, the industry is in big trouble. There were times when upwards of 3,000 boats were registered to fish out here. But now, that has shrunk to about 800.
It's not profitable, and it's primarily because of the price of fuel and because of the influx of imports. This country is just inundated with imports to the point where it's just suppressed our prices to where we can't turn a profit.
Tell people what you're having to compete against.
So when we say imports, we're not talking about people that have boats that catch wild-caught shrimp in another part of the country. When we say imports, 99.9% of all shrimp imports are farm-raised in a pond in conditions that you and I have no idea what those conditions are, and that product is brought into this country largely uninspected and on everyone's tables.
Now, the willingness to work plays a role too. Lifelong shrimper and boat owner Carlton Reyes, he's seen the change.
I'm short of a captain. That's another thing that we're experiencing, shortage of crew. Okay. There's no young folks that's coming up that wants to be a shrimp boat captain or go out on a shrimp boat, for that matter. So I have a crew for 5 boats, but not to complete the 6th boat.
It sounds like this industry's dying.
It is. It is. It is, my friend. It is.
Shrimping in Texas may be in trouble, but it's not dead. Shrimp packers like Texas Pack in Port Isabel, well, they're proud to be a top provider of wild-caught shrimp, and they're shipping boxes of big, juicy Texas shrimp by the thousands every day. In an era when global markets and modern challenges have tested the shrimp industry, the blessing of the shrimp fleet stands as a symbol of endurance. It's a reminder that fishing is not just a business, but it's a way of life tied to heritage, family, and faith. Each year when the priest's words carry across the water and the fleet sets out beneath the South Texas sun, the people are once again bound together in hope for safe passage, abundant waters, and the continued blessing of both the sea and the heavens. The good news is that we're hoping to get some laws and regulations passed that will help our shrimp fleet in the battle against imported shrimp. In the meantime, you can help by buying only Texas wild-caught shrimp or Texas farm-raised shrimp. That's all the time we have this week, folks. I'm your Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, reminding you that agriculture matters. See you next time.